everybody. An interesting question for this time of year, and it is whether or not parents should let their children believe in Santa Claus, or even more precisely, whether or not parents should encourage Santa Claus, teach their kids about Santa Claus, these types of things. And of course, if you research this, there's a number of views on this, naturally, from parents who believe that we are lying to our kids when they're very young, to parents who say this is a great idea because it helps kids with their imaginations, and everybody finds out Santa Claus is not real sooner or later. To be honest, Santa Claus was present in our home when we grew up, although mom and dad never spent much time talking about him or encouraging us to believe in him. I guess he was kind of just a cultural thing, and we picked it up and quickly discovered that he wasn't real. Some people go a little extreme with this and say, well, Santa is just an anagram for Satan. That, of course, is not true. It comes from the Latin sanctus, because the person who we're actually talking about originally was St. Nicholas, who was a bishop of the early church in the 3rd century. He was born very wealthy, St. Nick was, but despite his wealth and privilege, fought materialism for most of his life, and was known to be a very generous, giving person, and gave most of his wealth away. And then, of course, St. Nick got combined with Father Christmas, Kris Kringle, Santa Claus in European mythology. And so eventually we transfer from St. Nicholas over to the jolly guy with the white beard and the red suit. Red, incidentally, was probably because of his church robes originally, and the black boots and the reindeer, which is part of the European mix. And so it all combines together now to form the Santa Claus that we have today. The Bible, of course, doesn't teach specifically on Santa Claus. We know Christmas is entirely about God's gift to us. And so where does that leave us in terms of Santa? Well, I would say, for the most part, it has seemed to be a harmless thing that children are exposed to at a young age. They quickly discover it's not real. I would caution parents against really pushing this, or against flat out lying to your kids when they ask if Santa Claus is real. That could set you up later on for other circumstances where they're also challenging the truth of what you're saying. So I certainly wouldn't lie to them directly if asked. I wouldn't push it that hard. It does seem fairly harmless on the front end. I certainly wouldn't use Santa as a weapon. Some parents have he knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sakes. Santa's kind of a really legalistic person in that sense. He really only is supposed to give gifts to the very good children. Not at all like God, who loves unconditionally and gives generously to all. So I wouldn't use Santa as a weapon to say, hey, you've been really bad, Santa won't give you anything. That teaches the child the wrong concept of giving right from the get-go, and also teaches the child that you only get when you perform, and that's probably not the best idea either. So all in all, this is of course going to be a parental decision. As always, you have the Holy Spirit living inside you, and so He is able to help you with this kind of decision on whether or not you promote Santa Claus in your home. Your kids will be exposed to it, guaranteed, through the culture. What you do with it then, and how far you take this, is something you will want to walk with the Spirit of God on. Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you all.